So do you know martial arts? Are you, yeah? By show of hands, who knows martial arts? Okay, okay. Who's good at math? Awesome, awesome. So today we'll be talking about the psychology behind the Vietnamese stereotypes. You know, kind of why do they exist? You know, why do we stereotype in general? And we'll be breaking down one of these stereotypes, and we'll also discuss sort of the timeline of stereotypes in the U.S. and then what we can do to reduce, you know, bias and discrimination. So it'll be jam-packed, action-filled, and I'd really appreciate, you know, discussion from all of you. I know, like, we don't have that much time, but, you know, I would like to hear some of your thoughts. So if you do have something to say in between one of my slides, just feel free to, you know, give me a shout or raise your hand, whatever, because I want this to be kind of interactive, and I know this is not the ideal setup, but anyways, we'll go ahead and get started. So we're going to start off with an activity. So everyone stand up. All right. So everyone raise your hands up in the air. And let's go to the side. To your left. And then to your right. All right, and then do a little wiggle. Awesome. That wasn't the activity. Stand up. I was just getting you guys loose. But all right, so if everyone can come down to this side of the room, we're going to go ahead and get started. So everyone, what's that? No, just everyone come down this way. How's it going? Thomas. Nice to meet you.
You're that guy from the Fear Factor, right?
Yes. Yes. And
like 1,000 something in the lead.
yeah. It's I was going to talk a little trash, but I don't know how, you know, well perceived I'd come off as. But all right, so can everyone hear me from here? Okay. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to ask you several items, and if you fit that criteria, you're going to move towards that side of the room. Okay, so I'm going to say an item, and if you fit that criteria, move to that side of the room. Okay, here's the catch. So when I ask this item, I want you to take into account, you know, what your thoughts and what your feelings are about that particular item. So if you choose to move towards that side of the room, notice, you know, where you are in the room, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. And if you happen to stay on this side of the room, notice that too. And I will start to ask a little bit, I guess, more sensitive questions. So if you feel that you don't want to disclose that, also take note, you know, take note of how you're feeling. So we're going to start off with a simple one. If you were born anywhere other than the Midwest region, move towards that side of the room. You don't have to go all the way back. Just get out of this area. Yeah, go up on the steps. All right. So take notice how you feel, what you're thinking about those other people over there. Okay? Quick shout. Where are you guys from?
Los Angeles.
Throw out random stuff. LA. Russia. And the people over there? Vietnam? Nice. Awesome. All right, come back. All right, if you have traveled anywhere other than, or anywhere outside the U.S., move towards that side of the room. If you've traveled anywhere outside of the U.S., move towards that. Yeah. All right, so you people have stayed in the U.S., okay? Okay? All right. So, what are you supposed to be doing at this time?
I feel sad.
You feel sad. Okay, if you are from a city with a population less than 50,000, stay on that side of the room. If you're in a population that's more than 50,000, come this way. Yeah, yeah. Town. All right. Okay. All right. Come back. Come back. If you are fluent in your native language, move towards that side of the room. Okay, so non-fluent people. Yeah, right? Okay. If you have ever been in an interracial relationship, romantically, move towards that side of the room. If you've been in an interracial relationship, move towards that side of the room. However you define interracial. However you want to define it. Okay, do we have some mix, some confusion around here? Okay. If you have ever been discriminated against because of your race, move towards the other side of the room. If you've ever been discriminated against because of your race, you just fit in everywhere, right? Okay, so that was the last item, but take note of what you're thinking and what you're feeling right now. Okay? All right. All right, everyone go back to your seats. Thank you for your participation in that. So, can anyone tell me the purpose of that activity? What do you think the purpose of that activity was? And you had?
To find commonalities between all of us.
Okay, so similarities between all of us. Okay.
We may be different from where we come from or where we grew up, but the fact of the matter is we all pretty much still got discriminated against.
Good point, the last item. Yeah, how so? Elaborate on that a little bit more.
The 50,000 population, I don't know, camp in Chicago. There's more than 50,000 people there, but for the people who've been in small towns, I mean, it's something I've never really thought about, so you bring that up makes me like think how that relates with the bigger issue you're about to bring up.
Okay. What about at an item level? What were your reactions towards that? What were you thinking about whenever you were standing on one side of the room versus the other?
No matter how sensitive this is, there's always someone that's experiencing this.
Yeah. Yeah, bringing us back to the similarities between each other. Yeah. Oh.
Being a minority is kind of sad. Like, it's not shameful to not like travel outside of the country,
Well, no, that's a good point. Well, I mean, what were you feeling whenever you?
Oh, yeah. People who were alone were like, oh, we're a minority, we're sad, right? So maybe they look on us or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So, anyone else? Okay. So yeah, it was just to get you to think about, whenever I was asking these items, just for you to reflect on even like the smallest things that we, think about, like the cities. I never thought about that either until, I saw the other people on the other side of the room, and it was like, hey, we're kind of different in that aspect. And I never really thought about it, and I automatically jumped to conclusions whenever, because I'm from a big city, so whenever I saw someone on the other side of the room, it's like, oh, there's some things there that, a little different, and maybe I'm jumping to conclusions, but that's what this is kind of about. So, these general stereotypes that people have about us, I mean, these are just a few, and we're going to talk about, some other ones that may come to mind. But yeah, so for all of you that don't know me, my name is Thomas Nguyen. I currently go to the University of North Texas for counseling psychology. So psychology is my passion, that kind of thing. Anyone a psychology major? Sweet, 2 people. Okay, awesome. So yeah, and my emphasis is sports psychology. So I work with collegiate athletes and such. So yeah. Yes, I'm currently in first place. Thank you. Yeah, because I'm from Oklahoma, I do tend to talk a little bit of, game about the Midwest. Not that I have anything against you guys. I'm just very proud of where I'm from. So, a big OU football fan, for any of you guys care. But yeah, so, I highlighted 2 of these stereotypes that we may have. What are some other, stereotypes about Vietnamese people? Nails, that's a big one. Asian women can't drive. Is that true? Is that true for you ladies in here? What else?
We like to study.
Yeah? Yeah? Nice hair. I've never heard of the nice hair thing. No, because I have Asian hair where it grows sideways. Guys, you know what I mean. It's like the Asian Afro thing. But yeah, those stereotypes come to mind. And why do we kind of jump to those conclusions, or why do other people jump to conclusions about us like that? Any thoughts?
Don't stereotypes, aren't they based off the fact that a certain group is unfortunately more prone to something than the other groups?
Yeah, so what you're saying is there's some sort of general truth to it? Yeah, oh. Yeah, that was the activity. I forgot to put that up, yeah. But yeah, since we're talking about stereotypes, yeah, there is a general truth to it. I mean, people would not be saying it if there wasn't, some level of truth. And that is correct. But what's incorrect is to make sweeping generalizations across individuals for a particular group. That is always incorrect. I don't want to tell you how or what to do or what not to do, but to single out an individual and say that, you are part of this group, therefore, X does not equal Y. That's what I'm saying. So, why do these stereotypes exist? Well, For my people in psychology, we always talk about the two factors, the nature, which is the biology, the genetics, whatever, and then awesome, nurture, which is the environment that we're born into. That's everything that's not nature. So I do want to talk a little bit about the nature side of that. I am not by any means like a neurobiologist or scientist guy by any means, but I do want to spend some time talking about the neuropsychology of things, the brain and psychology, how things work. So that is my brain. That was an MRI that I had done a couple years ago. Not really, but you guys believe me. You guys believe me. Okay, so let me rewind here. Okay, so this back part of the brain right here, the stereotype response, that blue part, that is called the hindbrain. And if anyone knows any better, and I'm wrong, just correct me. But yeah, that is the hindbrain, and that comes from our primitive form. I mean, this comes all the way back from animals, where they have to make sense of their world. They see a bear, they don't want to get eaten by it, so they run away, or either they get eaten by it, and then their family members start to learn, and they then start to stereotype all sorts of bears. So it's a natural reflex for them. And so everything that happens in the hindbrain, it's all primitive or instinctual, or it's all reflex. So as we get more developed, we move into the midbrain, and that sort of controls our emotions and our memory and such. So we start to develop these heuristics and schemas. Heuristics are these mental processes that we have that they're mental shortcuts. And schemas are, kind of the video motion picture kind of thing where, say you have a general layout of how going to a restaurant should be. There should be silverware, there should be waiters, whatever. You have a mental picture of it. So what goes wrong with stereotypes is that we do have these mental distortions from it. So why does it become distorted is the question. So like I said, for evolutionary reasons, we may be taught, people who look different than me, or people who are not from my group, the in-group, we tend to think differently about them, either right or wrong, wrongfully so. We still do that. Also, another distortion that we may have is the rule of 9, wherever you hear something so much that it becomes ingrained in our minds. So the rule of 9 says if you hear it 9 or more times, then you start to develop this mental picture. And so there might be some distortions there. And the last part, thin slicing. If you guys have heard of thin slicing, it is taking in sensory information that within a split second, you're already deciding how you're going to act. So, meeting you for the first time, I've already either consciously or subconsciously already formed how I'm going to act towards you. So that, either rightfully or wrongfully, we start to make assumptions, that is even out of our awareness. So what are the problems of thin slicing? What's the problem of judging someone in the first minute that you meet them? False impressions. Yeah, how do you mean by that? Yeah. And that can always lead to detrimental effects. And you know, that comes up, you know, continuously throughout history, where, you know, females and minorities with jobs, that can affect that too. Purchasing a car even, and short people. I myself am shorter, and I work with the volleyball team, and everyone is taller than me. So already they're starting to make assumptions that, you know, I don't play volleyball, I don't play sports, whatever, because I'm short. So they're automatically jumping to that conclusion. So, okay, so we're gonna do an exercise, okay? I know people are a little sleepy, so I'm gonna allow you to close your eyes for a second, okay? Don't fall asleep on me, because I'm being very nice and letting you close your eyes. So everyone close your eyes. I want you to visually take in the picture that you just saw. I don't know if you can see that. But imagine that you're walking to your car late at night. You're getting home from the library because you're studying for a test. You're walking towards your car and you hear footsteps behind you. And of course, your natural reaction is to look back. Okay? You see a figure. What figure is that you're looking at? You don't have to say anything. But you see a figure. Could be a man, it could be a woman. You can actually see like what race they are. Okay? What's your car, by the way? Who has it? Oh, you're a Camry. What are you, a soccer mom? I mean, just kidding. All right, so everyone open your eyes. Did you start to react a certain way whenever you were visualizing that, whenever you saw that figure? How did you react in that visualization? Walk faster. Yeah. Get out mace? Okay. Okay. So already like behaviorally getting ready to possibly, you know, engage in confrontation. Yeah. So automatically, you just saw a person late at night. It could be someone just like yourself, but you automatically jump to that conclusion. So that is what thin slicing is all about. Now, going into, I won't say anymore, but this is some data of the Canadian hockey team, okay? Can you guys spot similarities between these people? Age? So these play for the national hockey team, so they're all like elite athletes. Height? Not Asian. Well, yeah. The Canadian. Okay. So a lot of social psychologists have been wondering why these athletes are elite. And yeah, you know, they're all around the same age, of course, you know, where they're in their prime around, you know, the 20s. Height, of course, you know, hockey players need to have kind of that lankiness, whatever. But actually, what was really interesting is that 75% of these people are born within the months of January through April. Any thoughts to why that is? January through April, 75% of these people. Okay. So yeah, they were stunned that they found this. But actually, the eligibility cutoff for age is in January. So people that were born in the months of January through April, they were, you know, bigger because they were older, more athletic, stronger, whatever, than, you know, their younger counterparts. So, does that automatically make them better? I mean, it could be, but the fact that, you know, their parents, their coaches, their peers said, hey, these people are better, so maybe we should give them better instruction. So they were coached better. they had better practices, whatever. So that is how our culture can shape us. You know, it's called the Pygmalion effect. You know, the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think someone is going to be good at something, you tend to act in ways that are more that would benefit them. Okay, where is that? Yeah, that's Vietnam. All right, that is Vietnam. Okay, so I am not too keen on my Vietnamese history, but how does our history affect the stereotypes that we have now? I'm hoping you guys know a little bit more history about Vietnam than I would.
Sometimes other Asians, like more Oriental Asians, like see us and are like, oh, there's like Asians.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's definitely true.
Like history class, maybe like the war, like that kind of like ruined a lot of people's lives, and like they've always been very like hardworking, and so like here, like Americans or whoever that looks at us looks like, oh, they get straight A's, so they must be just automatically smart. But it's just that we grew up like hardworking, like we have to get good grades and we have to go to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you asked how does our history shape our stereotypes?
Uh-huh.
Is that
Yes.
I think with the Vietnam War, when it displaced a lot of people, and when these people went to America, a lot of the women, they were taught by these organizations how to do nails. So I believe that's like one of the reasons why we have that nail stereotype right now.
Yeah, no, I've never thought about it like that. That's a good point. Yeah.
I also think because there is a war, and I think that in our heads, even if we're a small country, we, even within our own age group, we think we're not modernized, and how Vietnam has come a long way. I think even within us, we have stereotypes about that.
So us being over here, we have stereotypes about people over there.
Not just people that aren't Vietnamese. I think even Vietnamese people have their own conceived stereotypes because they grew up in America.
Okay, so.
Because I went to that picture, I never thought Vietnam. Because I don't see it like that. Because I just went back like 3 years ago, and I saw how modernized it was. But other people saw it, and I didn't see it. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know.
I see. So you're more used to the culture here, and that shaped how you view Vietnam?
Not necessarily. It's more like I see the views that people see of Vietnam and how they assume just rural, just farmland and all that third world country. And I think if you go back recently now, it's just changed so much. It's just evolved so much. I think this stereotype is
Yeah. Yeah, no, it does. It does. Does that make sense to everyone else? Yeah. Yeah.
Or the Asians are a bad driver stereotype. Just a lot of Asian parents, when they were living in Vietnam, they didn't have cars, bicycle, or maybe motorcycles at most. So, when they came to America, maybe that's how the stereotype came to be. And there's a lot of, the second generation Asians, they're really good drivers, social drivers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. True. That's very important point. Okay. So how good are we on time? Does anyone know? 10 minutes? Oh, okay. 15 minutes. Right? 15 Asian minutes. Awesome. Stereotype. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff in our history that would lead us to some of the stereotypes that we have now. I guess show of hands, who's parents or older generations are from the South Vietnam? Right. Wow, that's a good amount. It's a good amount. Central region. Central region. Okay. North. Okay. Okay. Do you guys know the stereotypes about those? Yeah? Yeah, anyone want to elaborate on that? You shook your head first, I saw.
I don't know stuff my parents say. I don't know. It's not good stuff. So.
Uh-huh. I mean, okay, even if it's not.
Well, I'm not really Vietnamese. Like, my family lived in Vietnam for 200 years, so we're Chinese.
Uh-huh.
But we lived in a Chinese village of only Chinese people. So my parents thought they were better than the Vietnamese. But that's my parents say.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I would say they're in the back. So it's usually said that they're kind of stereotype within Vietnamese is that they're stingy or just kind of greedy people or something.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, those are the stereotypes that exist. For anyone who's in the central region, let's see, how do I word this? They generally didn't have as much money as, the northern people. They also didn't have the rich farmland that people in the south had. So they did tend to they were hard workers because they had to get around doing that. And so a lot of them actually have very high aspirations of being something. So historically, people in the central region have become politicians for Vietnam. So and generally politicians were doctors. So that's where we kind of get our stereotype for wanting to become doctors, is because that was a very prestigious thing. But let's see, talking about the rice paddies though, how hard of a job that is, There's like hundreds of different ways to grow rice. You got to monitor your water levels, et cetera, et cetera. It's considered the hardest type of farming that you can do. And that's where our parents and our parents' parents have gotten this notion of hard work. Hard work gets you somewhere. And so, that's kind of why, we're pushed to excel, is because, they see success defined by their kids. That's generally why you tend to see a lot of high achieving Asian Americans. And so that's because of our parents and our parental influences. And yes, like being strict, whatever, that may be a negative thing in America, and that does lead to demotivation in school and satisfaction with your career, et cetera. But research shows that with the Asian culture, even though you have that authoritarian parenting style, it tends to be beneficial for achievement. So that being said, that leads us into being the model minority. And who actually attended the session on educational, the one on educational stereotypes and such? Did you guys learn some good stuff from that workshop? Yeah, did you learn anything about the model minority?
Yeah, the model minority is basically
Uh-huh.
But then when you look, when you aggregate the information, Vietnamese people, the lower people, with the, it's usually the East Asians who are acing everything, and other ethnicities aren't showing as high as a lot of the minority might assume.
So there's variances in between, yeah. Huh. That's a good point. That's a good point. I do want to talk a little bit about my cousin who likes to do math. That's him. So this is where we're going to break down the math stereotype, okay? So does anyone know why that exists? The what? Oh, the picture. Yeah. We're good at math and we love to do it. It actually it's because of our language. Can anyone think why? Okay, I'll tell you. Okay, here in America, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In thinking about that, there's some, two-syllable letters, 7 being one of them. But, if you count in Vietnamese, they're all one syllable, okay? And that does lead to differences in being able to memorize and learn, retain even numbers and number processing and such. And so when you start to count even to like the teens, when you say 17, it's kind of counterintuitive from what you think. If you're thinking about Vietnamese where it's 10 and then the number, there's a difference there. Okay, so 10, 18, 17, whatever. And then you start to count into 20s. Like, there's a discrepancy, obviously, in the way that our language is compared to other countries. And so that leads to better conceptual stuff in math, and even fractions when we're talking about fractions in America. 3/5. You're thinking 3/5, like, what is that? Like, I have no idea what 3/5 means. But if you said it in Vietnamese, ba phần năm, which translated is like 3 out of 5 parts. It's 3. So like you can start to conceptualize that. And ingrained in all that language, we start to develop this advantage, and the better we are at an earlier age, like this guy was a hoss, like at math. It's this advantage, and then we start to build that up. Our culture starts to think, that's what we should emphasize. So that's where the math stereotype begins. Okay. 5 minutes left. Awesome. Okay, so the timeline of a stereotype. Who is this fella? Yes, that is. Okay, so like over, 4 centuries, in talking about African Americans, they were in slavery for the longest time, 250 years. Even dating back to that, the Bible, like in medieval times, black tended to be, sort of negative, had a negative connotation. Coming to America, 250 years of slavery because these people, were viewed as lesser beings and such, and 100 more years of, discrimination towards that, even when, slavery was abolished, and then only 50 years of, normalcy. So, where does that leave us? Like, does anyone know the history of even like Asian Americans in the U.S.? Okay, so obviously during the time of the slave trade, there has been people from like Indonesia and China and such coming over whenever our slaves were coming over, even India. But most commonly known, even like the 1850s, whenever the Chinese immigrated to California, I mean, those stereotypes will always be there. And it has, I mean, the stereotypes that we talk about now, a lot of them traced back even whenever we first came over, or whenever the first Asian Americans came over. So, I mean, where does that leave us now? What are we doing? Like, you know, and you guys have probably heard a lot of stuff about this guy. Who is he? Yes. Going insane right now. But, you know, there was a lot of talk in the press. You know, like, no one knew how to, like, talk about Asian Americans because, I don't know, we've always kind of thought ourselves to be something different, but then here we have someone that is kind of an outlier. So, you know, why hasn't this changed? Why hasn't the stereotypes changed for the better? Yeah. Yeah. Like not enough people in higher positions to be able to say something.
I guess this is also stereotype, but like one of the views that they have on Asians is that Asians are more passive.
Uh-huh.
So like, and you see a lot of it during this whole driven in phase because one thing that they feel like they can do is get away with the certain racial slurs that they do because we've never actually spoke out against it.
Uh-huh.
Because like if you say something towards an African American, we had a whole movement for that, and you know, we proved to them that you know African Americans like stood up and told them that this is not okay to do.
Yeah.
But with the Asian American, when we came over, I don't know, I guess from my family's experience, when we came over from Vietnam in 1975, we had a sponsor family, and that sponsor family ended up taking advantage of everything because, but my grandparents in the end told my family that they should just be okay with it and should accept it because without them, we wouldn't have the visa to come here.
Mm.
And so like for them, my family could never actually say anything towards the mistreatment they've done towards us because you know it's just like we were passive about it. We never said anything about it, and you see a lot of that during that. It's like for instance, one of the slurs that they made was cheating the armor. You know when he lost one of his first games, and so you know it wasn't until just recently that people were starting to realize that this is not okay to do. But at the same time, yes, you know, the author of ESPN thought it was okay to do because we've never stepped up and said this is not okay.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why none of the statements ever actually changed because no one has either A, say it's not okay, or B, disprove with that what they're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and you brought up a very good point. I mean, this is part of our roots, our culture, where this term collectivistic culture, we tend to want to keep the peace, you know, not want to rock the boat, keep the harmony. Not everyone is like that, of course. There are individual differences among us, but generally speaking, that's where our culture, you know, lands us, and it tends to be kind of passive. Yeah. So, what can we do about it? Crap, like I'm not like a miracle worker and I can change the stereotypes by myself, and I'm quite unsure what to do myself exactly. So this is the time to like brainstorm and throw out ideas because this is a serious issue, and it'll continue to happen if we don't change some stuff. I mean, I can talk about it very broadly about, you know, weakening the mental processes and, you know, operant conditioning where we're talking about, you know, if someone says, you know, something discriminatory, then, you know, we work towards changing that, you know, saying, like speaking out if it's not right, then the more that you do that, the more that, you know, they start to associate it with, okay, that might not be right. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. You know, I can talk about it very broadly like that. But anyone have any ideas on what we can do?
I took some ASAP classes in school, and psychosocial good majority of Viet people. It's like we're very separated from Chinese and like Filipinos. Like we need to like I don't know stick together maybe.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know how to say it. Like I feel like if you stick together, you can like voice it better because as individual like cultures, we are like pretty much passive.
Uh-huh.
I feel like sometimes people throw around stereotypes and say this when they think it's dirty because they take joy out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And to show that you don't care, or to show that you're proud of what you do, like what's wrong with being smart and good at school and like doing well in math. Like if you show that you don't care and you show that you're okay with what you're doing, then maybe they'll lessen that discriminating towards you because it doesn't even matter.
Hmm. Yeah.
Kind of going off that, not feel about doing so much needs but you can also do like the little things where tell your friends they're making a joke about your stereotype and stuff. Just be like, hey, that's not cool. Like even those little things, I think it gets into their head and they think about it. They're like, hey, we got a little offended. I think maybe I shouldn't talk about this. And then it could become more widespread. So I think it's from the little things that we do.
Yeah.
That we can make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think we can embrace each other's talents more. You know, I think in the Vietnamese culture, once we have like a special talent or something special to us, we kind of keep it to ourselves and not wanting to share because you're scared someone might copy you or you know make it better or be ahead of you. So we don't really support each other. So once we support each other as a community and help each other climb up that ladder, it can be much more.
Huh. Great point. Great point. Okay. So, anyone have any last thoughts, comments, concerns, words of wisdom about this workshop? Okay. We're about out of time, but you know, kind of the take-home message of all this. I know I threw a lot of information out at you. It might have been overwhelming, but kind of the take-home message is realizing, you know, where those stereotypes come from, you know, why they exist, and you know, how does that influence us? How does that impact our, you know, thoughts, feelings, and actions? You know, I think that is our first step in creating positive change for Vietnamese Americans in the U.S. So, thank you. And